Welcome back to this week's episode of Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. On today's episode, we're going to make a complete ball python enclosure from an empty PVC to a ball python paradise. Stick around. The steps involved to make this ball python enclosure a ball python enclosure instead of an empty box are actually pretty simple, but here's the thing that you should really consider doing. This setup will work for basically anything. If you want a glass enclosure, custom made melamine, whatever. I've got a PVC. I just like these. They're stackable, they're super light, they're easy to clean. That's just what I like to do for ball pythons. That's what I'm going to do going forward, have a few more of these. But what I should have done, and if you watch my PVC enclosure guide, like how to set up a PVC enclosure, which you can watch right here or whatever corner it goes to, you'll notice that I had the PVC enclosure in a position where I could flip it up and down and move it side to side and do whatever I want with it. Now, as you can see, I've got my PVC enclosures covered with other tanks, basically, like front opening enclosures. So I can't move this enclosure, which is down on the floor behind me. So that means I'm going to have to get on my back and put the lights up. It's just going to be a pain in the butt, basically. What you should do is not do this. Make sure that your PVC enclosure is in a place where you can flip it upside down, because putting the light on, especially drilling the screws in for the radiant heat panel, which we're going to put in a second, that is much easier if you can put it upside down. But we're going to struggle our way through it. It's going to be a fun time, and we're going to go through the steps of what we do here when we're setting the PVC enclosure up. Here's what you're going to need for this. You're going to need, obviously, a PVC enclosure. That's really important. You're going to need a thermostat. That's really important as well. I guess we can open this up. Thermostat. You're going to need a thermostat. You can just use one that is sold for like seedling mats. That's fine. Or you can use like a Herpstat or a Vivarium Electronics one. Those are really great as well. It's just they're a little bit more expensive. You're going to need some sort of lighting. So for the lighting that you don't really need this, but that's what I like to do. I've got this strip lighting. I'll put there's a fly on the lens cap. I'll put the link in the description below for both of those products. And then you're going to need a radiant heat panel or something to heat your enclosure. I thought that when I did the first one, I would be able to just have a heat source on the bottom. But because I have a skink in there now, and it's an Indonesian skink, and you can watch that video right here or wherever, he needs a lot hotter temperatures than are able to be provided. And also, I think with skinks, they like heat better from the top because they are diurnal basking type animals. So radiant heat panel, which I've got, which I haven't even opened yet, which I got from Dino Reptiles. So let's go ahead and open up these things. Let's get this ready to go, and then you can watch me struggle to put the lights and the heat panel on the roof of the PVC enclosure. Let's go. So I think the easiest way to do this is because last time with the other enclosure, you'll see here, I put just one strip of the LED, and I get 15 feet of this for 25 bucks or whatever it is Canadian. So what's that American, like 13 cents, right, with the exchange? So you can go one across the back, and you're only using 4 feet or just under 4 feet. I think that would be better and just more use and give you more light is to go all the way around the perimeter of the top of the tank, the PVC. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go all the way around, and that way there's light from all directions. And then, of course, if I don't like that, I can just cut it because it's, you know, you can cut it in between. And it's really cool, too, because you can dim it, and I think it comes with a remote control. I can't get this thing open. Let's just get to work. So this stuff, it comes in a roll like this, and it's got 2 connectors. Actually, one of them is missing the connector, which is probably inside the bag, maybe? Nope. Well, they're little pin connectors. I don't know where it is. The other one was missing one, too, but I found it rolled up in here. But the really cool thing is it's got the adhesive stuck on it already, so you don't need to do anything. You don't need to add adhesive. It comes with extra adhesive if you need it for whatever reason. Man, it really bugs me that that connector's missing. Well, what are you going to do, right? But that doesn't matter. You only need one connector if you're not connecting it to another string of lights. So I'm going to be able to hook this up, and it's got a hole already on the one side of the PVC enclosure, so I don't have to drill another hole, I don't think. This whole process is a little bit harder when you have a 10-pound Pomeranian trying to help you and headbutting your head and body checking your head. But it was a fun project all the way around. I should mention with the heat panel, the radiant heat panel, it's probably a lot easier if you put it on the ground. I think we talked about that before. You're going to see my girlfriend here, Michelle, she's doing it for me. mostly because I got frustrated. It's very difficult to do this, especially when you only have two hands, because you kind of have to balance it up above and then screw into it, and then the screw always falls and you only have a foot of space. If you have the option, do it the other way so that you can flip it upside down and you don't have to balance it. You can literally just screw right into it. So much easier. I'll be doing that with my next few, but everything's good to go now. I left it for a few days. I am wearing the same shirt to make it appear as though I'm doing this the same day. I left it for a few days just to make sure that it's the right parameters, right? And I think you might be able to see in a few shots here that the temperature and humidity, it shows the low and the high. So what I did is I made sure that humidity was right on the cool side and the hot side. I let it go for a few days on each side, and that way I know for sure that the cycling is perfect. And because it's on a cycle, or it's on a timer rather, I know that there's a little bit of a night drop and there's going to be fluctuation in temperature, but that's why you need one of those thermostats, or thermometers rather, that will show you the high and low for a 24-hour period. So at this point we've got the lights ready to go. They're not on right now, but you've seen it ongoing during this video, that the lights are now working. They're on there. It's a much brighter light than in the skink enclosure, so we're going to change his around, which is great. My girlfriend figured out how to use the actual timer toolbars, or the timer power bars is what I'm trying to say. These things are awesome. I just could never figure out how to use them, so those are working now. So the lights are on the timer. They'll turn on at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Now all I've got to do, because the radiant heat panel is in, you saw that, go ahead and put the substrate in, and then that's pretty much going to be it. We're going to put some furnishings in as well, but there's no point of putting the snake in because, first of all, Pikachu's eating right now, and second of all, it's going to be too hot, too humid, because I used warm water to make Beyond Peat, which is what I use for a substrate. I've talked about this in tons of episodes before. So we're going to go ahead and put the substrate in, and we've set up the thermostat so it's right where it needs to be. Now that everything's inside, we're putting everything inside right now, and we're just trying to make it look nice. And there's really no reason to do this for the health or the safety or the enjoyment of the animal. Like maybe a little bit of enrichment for the animal, but it's not super important to make it look like this. And this doesn't even look super great. I'm trying to keep it as minimalistic as possible because heavy-bodied snakes trample things, so live planted enclosures for boas or ball pythons or really any heavy-bodied snake really aren't for me. It's too much upkeep. What I would suggest is something like a crested gecko, for example. I've got a bioactive enclosure upstairs, and I've got some really exciting new projects that I'm going to start doing with more bioactive stuff. So stay tuned for that. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But to cap this off, this was really easy. I mean, if you could flip the PVC enclosure on its end, rather on the top of it, it's going to make it way easier. But all in all, it only took me about 3 hours to do this. If you could flip it upside down, probably an hour and a half. You'd cut your time in half, I would think. So all that's really in there is your hide, water bowl, of course, which I filled up, and then some hiding spaces. And make sure your radiant heat panel, nothing's touching it, and your probe is underneath it so that you know exactly what the temperature is on the substrate. I used a suction cup just to make sure that it was attached to the wall, and then I kind of fed it through one of the plants that he's not going to be able to go through anyway. It's one of the ferny plants. So it's kind of in there, so it's propped up just above the substrate, so I know how hot it is on the hot spot. And then I have the thermometer on the other side as well, and that way I know that the hot side and the cool side are the right parameters. And that's it. You're good to go. That is how you put a ball python enclosure together. It's a lot of fun. PVCs are great. This also works with other enclosures if you just wanted to use a light bulb instead of the lights that I put around, or in the radiant heat panel, same sort of thing. Just make it look nice so that you enjoy it. Give them hot side, cool side, substrate that they enjoy, and a water bowl, of course. And that's it. I mean, as long as they have a place to hide and they feel secure, they're good to go. As you can see, Pikachu doesn't even want to go into his enclosure. He wants to come out and hang out with me. Or maybe it's just because he's not used to such a different enclosure. He was in a tub system for a while. And I want to say thanks. Because of this channel and doing these videos, I've got a lot of really great advice, husbandry advice, and just overall care. And that's why I share these videos as well, because I want to take what other people have done that are doing it better than me, or in a different way, and put that into my enclosure, or in my reptile room rather. And I really noticed that I enjoy watching the animals, and when they're stored away in tubs, I don't interact with them as much as if I just walk into a room and say, oh, Pikachu's climbing on his log, and I take him out for a couple minutes. That's what this hobby is all about, enjoying your animals, treating them right, making sure that they're happy and healthy. And that's my rant for today. So, because I do videos every week, twice a week, that means that I'll see you on Monday.